Hi guys, it's EGC here. So today I'm here with another descended deck profile. This time I'll be covering the updated Magnolia deck profile, which will be using the mask unit, Magnolia Mask. So this deck, which when the time I actually post this, the position of this deck is kind of like weird because before DBT 13 release, this deck still have some kind of potential, but I think it's people looking it as a very good deck, of course, and it isn't bad, but they're looking it too good. That when they see Magnolia can simply do a lot of multiple attacks easier than just purely with Magnolia or even with Elder, they see the deck as like broken. But then when I actually play test it out, when I actually see people play it, I don't think it's going into the broken level. It's a strong deck, but it isn't broken, and it requires you a lot of different puzzles pieces in order to get the deck to work. So I think I should be covering this as well because it is indeed a good deck during the DBT 12 era or the meta, that you can actually take it out to play, but you need to be very careful. And it also is kind of a deck that won't get so hard punished by Gandiva, because you will be playing a lot of units with the same grade, so they will need more effort to clear your board. Of course, you will still get hurt by your opponent clearing your board, but compared to before, you have a lot of good stuff to actually go back to a full board. So let's go into the deck profile first and look at the pieces. So for the right line, I'm using almost the Magnolia right line, except I'm using Lab Core for my Great One, which Lab Core has a simple skill. When your Magnolia Mask is placed on Mega Circle, you may call this to the Riga Circle from your drop zone. If you call it, this unit will get plus 5k until end of turn. The reason I'm using this is for less randomness that just go into a soul, because when you use a lattice, you still get to soul blast one and look at the top card of the deck. If it is a unit card, you call the Riga Circle, if not, you at least get to add to your hand, right? But with Great One, you have to just basically put it into soul. It isn't correct, so I rather not have that happening and going into this. Some people are actually using like the Solger right line so that they can just simply have a lot of cards exchanging, and just get the mask into the drop zone as fast as possible. It works, but if you are going for that route, you might need a lot more kind of extra setup, and you're not going for a lot of early game rush. But in this, at least on my Magnolia turn, that I might not go into Magnolia Mask immediately because the returning value may not be that high, then this will be a good thing for Russia. And by using this, you even get popped, as long as you ride Magnolia Mask again, it will come out as a 13k at least. And then if you have Dragon Tree Marker, then it will be more than what you think of, right? Another 15k plus. So that's what I go for. But if you want to use the other way, you can do it. That I think both works, but I just want to see something different because I know that way already worked, so I want to try another way, and so far this is also working for me. So with Magnolia, I have 4 of the Magnolia Mask and 1 of the normal Magnolia, so that I have a chance to use Magnolia Mask skill to bind to remove from game a non-mask Magnolia. So I have 2 chances, so that I can get to do some board wipe whenever my units in the back row with Dragon Tree Marker attacking, basically. So yeah, nothing too much to talk about Magnolia Masques, I guess you all know what it does about gaining power, back row attack, and all the stuff. But it really changes how we go in for our first turn, because it gives us the option to just go into Magnolia Masque through the mask skill when you go into your normal Magnolia. And because you are doing things in your main phase with, of course, your mask, this also allows you to actually do wild intelligence first, bring out 2 units while you're still on Magnolia, and then use the mask in a drop zone to go into Magnolia Masque. So you actually get 2 more units out before you go into your mask unit, and maybe a person right if you're going second. So it's kind of like being able to play 2 orders, but of course it's not, because this is not actually playing the order, this is using the skill. Yeah, but I like the interaction of I have a chance to use ball intelligence early game to rush, and in my Magnolia turn to bring out 2 units, while I'm trying to mill some stuff for usage, which can be very helpful in later game. So these are all the orders that I'm running. But if you are running like the Saga Right line, then you might be actually using some other like Frozen Resettlement, or even like the Mystia Habitat, or all kind of things that can help you out. Okay. And next, I'm running for the Force Scroll Dragon. So this is the key card for Magnolia Masque, because as long as you have Magnolia Masque, when this plays on Riga Circle, other than during your battle phase, you can blast 1, choose graveyard less cards from your drop zone to the same number of your Dragon Shield marker on your Riga Circle and call them to your Riga Circle. So the more Dragon Shield marker you have, the more units you can reborn from the drop zone, which basically helps you rebuild the board. Usually you can get at least 2, so it counter blast 1 core 2 I think is really great, and it can also pump your Vanguard with 5k whenever this attacks. Even though it won't be restanding, it's usually just a 5, but neither adjustment I think is just good to have. And then let's go over the Dragon Tree package first. 4 of this grade 2 and 2 of the cows. The cows is here not only for early rush but also to generate Dragon Shield marker. I usually won't use the second skill to pick up any orders, because that already using up my valuable counterblast. It's mainly for the Dragon Shield marker, and the reason I'm using 4 is because I need to get into the mask instead of using the Saga Right line to just random hopefully I can get it, or through the Mulligan. I'm using this to just pump my chances to get there and to Soul Blast my little leg core, so that I can just bring it out like basically my first turn going into Graveyard if I go into Magnolia Masque. So I think this is more important, so I'm using 4 of this, and squeezing my deck by taking out the mask out will increase the chances I pull out my triggers. So I think that is more important, I would say. But the cow is definitely needed still, because you need to have some early game rushing stuff, because you won't be playing the Force Roll Dragon early game unless you really have nothing to play while you need to rush, right? Else you will probably just use these to help you rush. And then for other Silverhorn Beasts, I'm using 2 Alpine. That I do have some higher grade units, but not as much as I play pure Magnolia or going to Elder. So I'm not using a lot, but it's still a very important counter charge, soul charging source. So I'm still using it, and the power pump for this card can sometimes still come into handy. So yeah, there we go. And then I'm running 2 of the Goy Dots. So this is something that good combos with Magnolia Masque, because you can pump 15k with Magnolia Masque skill and the Dragon Tree marker skill, and then this will also gain another 10k, so it's basically a 25k plus directly. Yeah, that's basically it. And if it's in the drop zone, then you can just simply put it into soul and get 5k to your Vanguard. So it's another thing to adjust your power. Yeah, that's basically it. But more importantly, it's a very high attack leader, so I'm using this card to help me out. Yeah, that's basically it. Unfortunately, we can't simply pull it out, so you might need to hand call it or use Wild Intelligence, and that's another reason that I think Wild Intelligence is actually helping me out. And then to Zero. Zero is also a key card in this deck because not only that your Magnolia Masques is giving power to units on Dragon Tree Marker, you can also share the personalized 10k to the back row if you have this. So yeah, that's just great. And instead of just searching for masks and then hopefully you can get a Magnolia mask, this is another Magnolia search, so it's quite important. I do want to add more, but if I really have to, then I might need to actually cut into these, like maybe cut one of these into another Zero, but I want to keep myself a really good balance, so I'm running like 2 ops, so I don't need to worry too much. If one goes to damage, I still have another one, and it's probably easier for me to use Wild Intelligence to pull them out while trying to get them to the drop zone. And then PGs, I'm using 4 booster PGs. Same as usual when I'm not using the Blitz Order one, is I want the moment of getting this one card guard on things. But if there's more and more triple drive decks coming out into the meta or that I need to face off, then I will change back to the Blitz Order. That's just basically that. Triggers, very simple. Stoic Key 1, OT, it just strong, I would say, because you can adjust like the power, crit, draws, heals any moment as long as you pull it off. Yeah, just basically that. And I think the crit is quite important with this deck. Not only that you are rushing, but at the same time you are trying to apply pressure. So the more crit you have, meaning the easier you can achieve this, and through your multiple attacks your opponents will feel more and more pressure and that they need to drop a lot of cards to guard. That's why I have more crits here, but at the same time, because we are like trying to dig for resources, not only the Zero to search cards, the Dragon Tree Resh to search cards, I'm also using 4 draws for like hopefully a defensive trigger into a draw another card to save me for the turn, or when I'm going in, then the more cards I can draw, that I can prepare more for the next turn. This deck you need to play it very quick because you're not trying to play a long game. You can only control the board twice because I only have 2 original Magnolia, so you can only do it twice. And then else will just be simply keep attacking until you win. So you don't want to go into that kind of situation that you're only relying on cards to just attack and win. You want to also have some control, apply pressure to your opponent, and you need to find your pieces. That's why I'm using 4 more draws. And then heals, I'm just using the normal heals. They are usually just good for when you are playing simple, playing fast games. You don't need to go into a long game. Then generic numbers are good. So yeah, that's I think will be good enough. But if you want to change some into effect heals, that's up to you. Heals, I'm always like to get people to just put whatever they want. As long as you're happy, that's all that matters. Yeah. So yeah, that's basically the deck list, and what I would like to also tell you a little bit more is like basically on the units placements, I would say. So usually it's on your Magnolia Masques, right? And this I will probably put it in your front row. I might put one of them here, and then this hopefully can stay here. This hopefully can stay here, and then this is up to you, depending on the situation, right? If you put it here, it's still a good 13 to 23k attacker, depending if you personal branding. This I would just put it in the back row, unless my opponent is very good at dealing with the back row but not the front row. Then I might do some kind of switching, but usually not. Yeah, the cow will usually stay at the back. This will just stay at the back for high power, and hopefully you can get 2 Dragon Tree Marker. Then you can just put on these, right? And one thing first, Dragon Tree Marker always try to put in the back row. If not, you are not gaining more attacks while using Magnolia Masques, then that's not the point, right? And sometimes I would just put one side and to one middle, so that this allows me one of the sides can just be a great one and just simply boost the front row for higher power, right? And even when you have 3 Dragon Tree Markers, that doesn't mean you can just swing, right? You need to look into what you have. For example, if you have this board, then what I would do might be just one on here, so pump the Vanguard, right? And then what I would do is actually using this, assuming 3 of them can attack from the back row with the Dragon Tree Marker, alright? So when you're Vanguard going in, your opponents will drop some guards, and then you can consider if 4 attacks is better to win, then of course go for 4 attacks. But if 3 attacks is better, then it might be better. And the reason you're going in this sequence is also to check if you have any triggers that you can bring power to all these, so your opponents can't guard every single one. Also, you can, because your Vanguard attacks is usually the highest chance to give you more power, but at the same time your opponents can get a lot more power. So after you consider this and your opponents did the damage check, or if they PG it, whatever, then you can see if your board, if you do 2 more attacks, can you do 2 more attacks, right? Because if you already attack with this and they get defensive, you attack with this, they get a defensive, and then if these 2 can't hit for some reason, then you kind of waste it, right? So, but if you do this first and your opponents hit the defensive, this you're trying to hit, your opponents might still get a defensive, then you can at least do this to not only do high pressure for them to drop more cards, like even if they keep getting defensive, they might still have to guard for it. They might need to give you more in total, depending how the situation goes. So do be careful on your attacking sequence to not waste the attacks, I would say, if you can get 3. But if you only get 2, then that's easy. Then you can just simply you can just even like boost this way, right? And then you're gonna go in and then go in. That works. So depending on the situation, but I always try to go at least one side or like that, and then my Vanguard go in, and then I check what's else, right? But it's always depending on the situation. It might be good doing this, it might be not sometimes. You just need to check the board, not only yours but your opponent's, then I think you will find a way. Yeah, I think that's it I need to tell about this deck profile. If you have any questions, comments down below, let me know. I will answer them, and just stay tuned for more DBT 13 deck profiles that are coming in. I just want to also put this out before it's really too late, because it's early DBT13 time, so I think it's still kind of okay. And English will have DBT12 a little bit later, so I think it's still a good time to just put it out, let you all know. And yeah, that's probably it. Subscribe for more deck profiles, deck fights, unboxing videos, and I will see you guys in the next video. Signing off.